Hello everyone, and welcome to the Kids Have No Idea quick reaction video. Recording this sexy hot takes. It seems like a week cannot go by in the games industry without a studio or publisher being acquired, and hot on the heels of the mammoth acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft, it's now Sony's turn to whip out the checkbook. So Sony have announced that they're going to acquire Bungie for a cool $3.6 million.
Billion, Adrian. $1 billion.
Did I say million? My mistake, $1 billion. So, rather interestingly, Bungie are going to remain an independent subsidiary of Sony Interactive Entertainment. So their games are going to remain multi-platform, as opposed to what Microsoft are doing with Bethesda and Activision. So, what are your thoughts, Nav?
Well, look, let's just get this get this clear. This wasn't a reaction to the Activision Blizzard purchase. Deals like this, deals that involve billions of dollars, do not take weeks to organize. They take months. So I can see that this would have been on the cards for Sony, regardless of whether Activision and Microsoft had done a deal or not. This was something they'd probably been discussing for at least a year, is when they probably started the conversations, at least 6 months for contracts and like prices to be negotiated. I want to put that to rest right now. I don't think this was a reactionary thing by Sony. But otherwise, yeah, I'm quite excited by it. I like the idea that Sony is regardless of regardless of the fact that it isn't a reaction. I like the concept of from a from a consumer standpoint, they're going to see it as a reaction, and the optics of that are going to look fantastic for Sony. We're not shy to spend money. So for Sony, it's great. For Bungie, I wish they kind of were bought by Microsoft, but for Bungie, it's also great. I would love to have Bungie and Halo kind of reunited. Would be fantastic for me. But no, I think it's great for Bungie as well. And as you say, the chairman of Bungie, he's also the CEO, I believe, Pete Parsons, has kind of come out. He has said it's not going to be exclusive territory. That's not what Sony wants to do with us. So Destiny is going to remain a multi-platform game. We'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, no, I'm happy for Bungie. I'm happy for Sony. It's good news.
So this is definitely not a reaction to Activision. If anything, it's probably a reaction to the original Bethesda purchase. And for Sony, this brings in considerable FPS talent where they have been lacking. They've got Killzone as a dormant property, and obviously Bungie brings great experience with Destiny and Halo, and they've got experience in live service. I think in the last pod we spoke about Sony perhaps looking to pivot into the free-to-play market and offering games with a continued line of revenue. So this certainly fits the bill. So if Microsoft decide to keep COD a solo exclusive property, do you think Sony will fire back and keep whatever IP Bungie are working on exclusive as well? Do you think we're going to get into those kind of wars?
Let's just say this. I think the next few years in video games it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time. Maybe Sony wants to get involved in that. I don't think their pockets are deep enough to. So I hope they don't resort to those kinds of tactics of kind of withholding, kind of forcing Bungie to do things that they don't want to do. Because clearly they don't. We'll see. I mean, you talk about kind of honoring contracts. Like Bungie bought out their Activision contract back in 2019, so they're not beholden to Activision. They've been self-publishing Destiny for a while now, and yeah, I mean it's a game that's been running for quite a few years. I can imagine they're going to have Destiny 3, hopefully in pre-production at the moment, hopefully coming out in the next year or two. I don't know, it's an interesting one. I mean, at the moment there's so many unknowns. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think they're going to get into that world of keeping games exclusive. I mean, if they do, they're going to be on the losing end ultimately with Activision Blizzard games and Bethesda games. It's not something that Sony really want to get
No,
into.
the other aspect of that as well, I guess the other side is that Sony have kind of been anti-competitive in quite a lot of ways. Microsoft were kind of saying, "Come on, let's do some console sharing. We don't mind people cross-play is the word I'm looking for. We don't mind people cross-playing." And Sony was very anti-cross-play. So they've been quite backwards in that mentality. They've kind of started to come around slowly, but it's taken them a while. They were kind of anti putting their games on PC, and now suddenly they've kind of turned around and said, well, all our first party games will eventually come to PC, or at least most of them have been kind of announced to be timed Sony exclusive rather than like permanent exclusive. So,
do you think Sony will soften to the degree where they'll allow Game Pass on the Sony console?
I don't think they'll soften to that extent, but I do think that they are slow on the uptake, but they do eventually see the benefits of allowing a slightly freer, more open platform. I think that benefits everybody, doesn't it? I just think that putting Game Pass on their platform is probably a step too far.
Well, they'll get a cut of revenue. They get 30%, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, would Microsoft allow them to have 30%? Is Microsoft allowing anyone else to have 30%? Does Google get 30% of any revenue through Game Pass when you're playing on your Android phone on the cloud service? I don't think they do. Sony, Apple have got xCloud, the cloud service working, but it works. I don't believe it works on an app. I believe it works through a browser, so they can get around some funky Apple rules. Maybe that's the route that Microsoft go down. Make it so kind of browser agnostic that you could just launch your PS5 internet browser app and play games through that. If it gets to that stage, like, what can Sony do? And it'll be too late for a deal then, because Microsoft, well, why do we need to deal with you at all? It's an interesting one.
I think Sony and Microsoft have probably got a relatively decent relationship. I don't think it will ever come to that. But we'll see. I think Microsoft will be happy to have Game Pass on any platform as long as.
I think if you I'm not familiar with Sony history, but I'm definitely familiar with Microsoft history. And Microsoft have been known to get very, very dirty, very bloody. Maybe not in the video game space, but definitely in their core business. They aren't afraid to pull punches, and they aren't afraid to break friendships over things that will benefit them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there and how they play that out. And obviously, like, a lot of the stuff that happened under the leadership of Steve Ballmer, of Bill Gates. So their time has passed. It's now a different leadership, and it's a different leadership for Xbox as well. So are they going to want to play those games? Are they going to be aggressive? What happens behind closed doors?
True. I think Phil Spencer is very much aware of public perception. I don't think he wants that kind of negative press. But as you said, when money's on the line, things do change. What I want to talk about now, this is an impossible question to answer right now, but 3.6 million, that is billion.
Billion.
So I said it again. It's an incredible sum. I mean, this is approximately half the amount of money that Microsoft spent on ZeniMax. So obviously, with that purchase, Microsoft will buy in a huge amount of studios, IPs, and even tech, various engines that Bethesda had. With this purchase, the Bungie purchase, do you think it represents value for money?
Yeah, of course I do.
For one studio and one IP.
I think so. I don't think you're asking me the question that you think you're asking me. You think you're asking me the question, is Bungie worth the money? But the question you should be asking is, did Microsoft get a fantastic deal with ZeniMax? And that's the question. And the answer is yes. Like, they got a fantastic deal. They got ZeniMax for comparatively pennies. It was. I mean, when it comes to billions, the common man like doesn't understand the billions. Billions is an insane amount. Even 1 billion is an insane amount. But I think ZeniMax was a great deal for that, considering Microsoft not too long ago. So Microsoft bought Mojang not too long ago. I say not too long ago. It's 2014 now, but they bought that for 2.5 billion. So that was a single game company. Bungie is effectively a single game company as well, so it's kind of an equivalent purchase. I think Microsoft just got a fantastic deal with ZeniMax. That's the question you should be asking. Not
Minecraft is a cultural phenomenon, and of course, if you add in inflation,
Halo is an exceptionally fantastic shooter, and still like the legacy of Halo is still seen to this day, right? And these are the guys that created that legacy. You know, people don't think maybe with Halo Infinite the perceptions have changed. People are starting to think 343 and associate that with Halo, but the majority of people you talk to when you say Halo, they think Bungie. And if you play Destiny at all, fantastic series of shooters, and you can see that it's the developers of Halo, because it feels like Halo. The shooting, the combat, the combat loop, it's a Halo game in all but name. I think billions is far too much when we've got starving kids in the world. But did Sony get value for money? I think they paid the right amount. Did Microsoft get value for money? Hell yes, they did when they bought ZeniMax.
And what do you think the type of output we're going to get from Bungie? Will they, obviously they'll continue with Destiny,
Yeah.
but they're rumored to be working on a new IP. Is it going to be another live service game? Are they going to be supporting Sony with other live service games or FPSs?
I wouldn't be surprised. And I said this to you when I first heard the announcement. I would not be surprised if Sony has kind of not so much mandated, but kind of strongly suggested that Bungie start working on a Call of Duty competitor. You know, maybe Destiny 3 is like Destiny Warzone. You know, maybe it's like a free to play live service battle royale. Maybe that's the direction that they want to be pushing down. But you know, like maybe I wouldn't be surprised if that's what ends up being the case. That Sony look at this and you see it as an opportunity to wean themselves off the Call of Duty teat, as it were.
And again, Bungie have repeatedly said that they want to be independent. They're like that person who always say they want to be single and develop and grow outside of a relationship, but they're always in a relationship. So what are Bungie getting out of this deal? Of course, they'll be getting that first party resource and love from Sony, but what else will Sony be able to bring to this relationship?
To be honest, Bungie is a very old school studio. They've been around for a very, very long time. I used to play their games when they made Myth, you know, like RTS games. You know, they've been around a long, long time. And you're right, they've always been in a relationship. You know, when Halo was first kind of like started getting worked on, they went in a relationship with Apple to make it a Mac product. Then Microsoft came along, bought them, and made it into an Xbox product. And then Activision came along and made, you know, then they had to do Destiny. So you're right, they always they want to stay independent. You can see it in their DNA, they want to be independent. But I don't know, it's an interesting one. I don't know. What do you think?
I think with Sony's history of curating relationships, you know, they tend to work strategically with a studio, then acquire them and then grow them. So we've seen Naughty Dog are growing. They've got multiple studios, teams I should say, under Naughty Dog, and same with Sony Santa Monica. So what I expect is Bungie will be getting that first party support, that cash flow, and that secures their long-term future. I'm not sure what the financial situation was at Bungie, if supporting Destiny was a costly venture, and they were worried about the sustainability of the company. Hence, they sought this I don't know how it came to pass, but they got acquired. But I think
I
they
mean,
will.
put it this way: I don't think Bungie were hurting for money, because if they were hurting for money, they definitely would have taken a lot less than 3 billion to be bought. You look at like Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is a product that's out on every platform, just on Steam alone, and Steam doesn't comprise of the entire PC platform base, just a segment of people that play it through Steam. But Destiny, over the last 30 days, had 55,000 average players. Right? So that's not a small game. Therefore, that's not a game that's going to be not making a lot of money. You know? People like
Much does it cost?
there's a ballpark estimate that Destiny 2 across all platforms has about 750,000 players per day. That's a lot of people, and when you have that many people, and your game is got microtransactions, which Destiny 2 is full of microtransactions. It's a good experience. It's a good game. It's got pretty fair microtransactions, pretty fair loot boxes. And you know, when you've got that level of player base, you're gonna be selling that. And they're doing their expansions. They do like an expansion at least once a year. You know, they are making money, so they're not hurting for money. But I do think, like you say, Sony's got this great reputation of you know, fostering a relationship with a studio that isn't theirs. You know, building that second party relationship, and then swooping in and saying, "Cool, we'll take you up and give you the financial security, so that you don't need to worry about that money aspect anymore. You don't need to release a game every couple of years and worry about where your next paycheck's coming from. We'll give you that. You just go ahead and keep making good games." So you know, and yeah, they've got precedent in doing that, and I hope that continues with Destiny and with Bungie.
So all in all, a good purchase for Sony and a good move for Bungie.
Yeah, I think
Cool.
so.
I think that about wraps it up for our sexy hot takes today. Be sure to check us out on our socials. You'll see a link in the description, and we'll see you soon.
Take it easy, guys.
Ciao.